I still like XCN in 2026 because even though nothing I say is financial advice, I feel like Onyx this year, at least from what they say, they're planning to do. I think arguably the biggest thing they've done throughout the history of their existence, which is the launch of the mainnet of their layer one blockchain called Goliath. The thing is this though, people like to tell me there are so many layer one blockchains out there for the world of global trade and finance. Who cares? There's already the Stellar blockchain, which is way more popular. Some would arguably say way better, but we'll wait and see, even though I still think it's just going to be more popular overall, right? But still, when it comes to Goliath, it's a one blockchain. Why do I think it could be a pretty, I guess, big deal for it in and of itself? It's because that's literally the thing that they've been focused on for quite a while now. So if they could actually deliver on that, right? If they could actually launch that, it would set a good sort of precedent. It would set a good tone in terms of the project moving forward. It kind of puts the stamp that, yeah, we can actually do something and not just be there sort of appearing useless, because it doesn't feel that way to me if they could achieve that. They already did the test net, so that's the initial phase kind of done already, but we need to wait for the mainnet. If they could do that, then that right there, I think fully puts a stamp that, you know what, they're a project, to me at least, that I could take a little bit more seriously because they at least followed through with what they said they were going to do. So this is why, when it comes to Onyx, I'm still a fan and I haven't given up. Now, if they've been kind of announcing this for many, many years and they've already had the mainnet for many years and still nothing happened, then okay, I'd be a little bit concerned, but they just did the testnet like last year, you know what I mean? And that was like even in the second half of last year. So it's not like the testnet has been around for that long. So at least when it comes to the mainnet, that's what I'm looking forward to. We'll wait and see though. But when it comes to XCN, people like to tell me, well, no one cares about a project that is not that famous, something like this. But I kind of hypothetically disagree with that because it's not in a space that is oversaturated in terms of popular competitors. In the space that it's in, global trade and finance, it's historically been a niche that has quite a lot of attention. However, there simply hasn't been that many options, historically speaking. Now, the reason why I think this happened, or I think a result of this, was I think because of the thing that went on when it comes to Ripple and stuff like that, right? And we take a look at kind of the issues they had, I think that kind of indirectly made it so a lot of other projects out there, a lot of other developers, I should say, a little bit apprehensive to enter this space. So for quite a while, it was just like pretty much Stellar at number two, and that was kind of the only other alternative pretty much people thought about. Then of course XDC became a little bit popular along the way, but just because of the reputation of that space, for quite a while, a lot of individuals were just not willing to kind of develop a project that was in a space like that. Despite its popularity, they're probably thinking, okay, why spend a lot of time, resources, and energy to build a project for a space that already has that reputation? So I think as a result of that, pretty much there was only like three pretty recognizable projects within that space, which was like, Ripple, Stellar, XDC. But because of the recent times that we saw in 2025 and kind of the change in sentiment where people no longer really cared about that type of stuff, because I think a lot of people thought, okay, the past is the past, whatever, right? And I think that's when we kind of saw the emergence of other competitors like XCN, or should I say Onyx, Zebic, or should I say ZBCN, something like SwiftCoin, something like XPR. Then they kind of had their time to really sort of showcase a little bit, a glimpse of what they kind of were all about. But the thing is this, like, that pretty much all happened in 2025, right? Or should I say kind of near the end of 2024. It's not like we saw this sort of attention for this space many, many years ago in terms of the alternatives. So when it comes to, due to that nonsense that was going on for quite a while, and also due to the apprehensiveness of a lot of developers to enter a space like that, it resulted in there being not that many competitors, right? But as of right now, that the sentiment changed, now that the reputation is a little bit more positive than before, it's a little bit too little too late, because the projects that stuck around before, now we're beginning to see them become a little bit more popular. But then as a result of all of that, there just simply isn't that many alternatives, right? Just because simply there wasn't that many options. Like, we fast forward to right now, Stellar's number 2, XDC's number 3, 4 is XCN, number 5 is ZBCN, 6 I think is XPR, number 7 is Swiftcoin. Because of all those years that happened, like I mentioned before, now there's pretty much only 7 recognizable projects within this space. So this is why, when it comes to Onyx, it was a byproduct of kind of, I guess, those times, those years of the space not really being cared about. I think it might have been a blessing in disguise for it, because now there's just not that many competitors. Could you imagine if XCN had like 30 famous competitors? If there was like, let's say, right, 30 different versions of like Zebic, because Zebic is Onyx's closest competitor. Imagine if there was 30 of those types, right? Those archetypes. Could you imagine? XCN would have probably been cooked. You know what I mean? Right now, it probably wouldn't have a market cap this massive at all, just because there's too many competitors, but it just doesn't have that many. It doesn't have 30 other versions of Zebic competing against it. It just doesn't have that as of right now. You know, it's like, for instance, Nokia back then, did it have so many competitors that were that famous? You know what I mean? Like, as of right now, we see so many competitors when it comes to smartphones and all this type of stuff. But back then, we have to consider in the phone space, like, it didn't seem like to me that there were so many, like, famous competitors, right? This is just my perspective. So it was a different time back then. But I kind of feel like that early phase that I saw with phones back then, it reminds me a little bit of the space of global trade and finance in this case, just because there just simply isn't that many famous competitors. So I don't know why that's a bad thing, though, when it comes to Onyx. When it comes to 25 cents, I'm still thinking about that. Now, it's around 29 times lower than that, so XCN has had a pretty okay recovery in the past month, in the past 1.5 months, I should say. But really, in the grand scheme of things, you know, it's still way lower than before. So this is why I haven't given up, and I'm still waiting and still staying patient. At 25 cents, the market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 9 billion. We're not talking about such a massive kind of like undertaking, right? That's not such a massive market cap in the grand scheme of things. Like, XLM not too long ago had a market cap like that, and that was not even during an altcoin season. So yeah, that's just kind of my perspective. I mean, is that too much to ask for? Arguably the number 4 project within the space of global trade and finance, if it could even maintain that position later on if there's an altcoin season. I don't know if it would surprise me. This is my perspective. But yeah, overall, when I take a look at Onyx, it's not really reinventing the wheel by any means. It's not the best project of all time. It's not the most popular, and I don't think it ever will be, but at least I'm a fan of it, and at least it's around 29 times lower than 25 cents. Is XLM around 29 times lower than any point it could hypothetically reach if there was an altcoin season during this cycle? I don't know if I'd have great confidence in thinking that way, just because the market cap's already pretty massive as is. So yeah, when it comes to XCN, it is around 29 times lower than 25 cents though. Is XLM 29 times around that lower than any point it could reach during this cycle? That's the question I like to ask myself. So yes, I'm still a fan of that. But I'm a little bit more of a fan of this just because it has a lower market cap, yet at the same time it's focused on global trade and finance, much like Stellar. But again, with just a way lower market cap. So if there's 2 projects that I'm a fan of, but one has a way lower market cap, I'll be more of a fan of that just because the lower something is, maybe the ceiling, hypothetically, in some cases, could be farther away. The key word is could, right? It doesn't mean it is, but this is just the mindset that I have. So yeah, I just haven't given up when it comes to Onyx, but that's just pretty much about it. And that's why I still like 2026 when it comes to XCN, but ultimately only time will tell. I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you have a very nice day. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll see y'all on the next video.